Everyone, hello there, everybody. How you doing on this hump day, Wednesday? What's up, folks? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Speaking favor over us all, nothing missing and nothing broken. Yeah, that's our reality. That's how we speak it. That's how we walk it, baby. We definitely walking the talk. So, how's your world? Getting weird? Yeah, it is. Cold here too. Who was it? Flight risk? Cold there in Kentucky? Yeah. Next week we're going to be shivering our timbers for sure. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. I do like that song. In Excess was just good group. Good sound and a good beat. You know what I mean? So there you are, Steiger. Now I see you. We're in frame. Yeah, looking good, buddy. Uh, and I hope that's how you do your self-talk. Yeah, I really love this body, man. With the adventures that we've been through, and it's been a faithful companion. It's been attacked, and it keeps on giving. That's cool. And if memories count for anything, that's what we'll remember. Not so much the event, but our bodies. Like Bob Seger said, I was 18, strong as I could be, invincible. We were gods, and indeed we were and are. Just we haven't learned to conquer time. Or maybe that's the whole rhyme, you know, all the time, right? So, hey, Jackie, how are you doing? Chloe, Laura, Nina, Mark, Light Risk, how you doing? Voiceover, good to see you. I think I saw Joyce in there earlier. So, you people are just amazing. My office is filled with the gifts from from y'all. They're displayed and with great honor and great appreciation and Thanksgiving. So, want to thank Lynn from, well, I won't tell you where she's from. You can tell her. She can tell you. It's okay. But, sweetie, this is uh this is what she sent me. This is Beaver. Um, all of this is handmade, hand stitched, and it goes with this. So this is how, and I'm actually started working on this. I have. So this is, she handmade this. Wait till I show you, but I just wanted to make sure I got this right. Um, so this is, y'all know her as Street Mom. So, sweetie, thank you so much. Um, this was made in honor and Street Mom, am I saying this correct? Is it Tessa Shah or is it Toss Ok? Well, it's a spirit, the spirit. And I won't read you the rest because hey. So this is what she made. I had to show it to you. So it has a sigil of favor. Um, and I'll get this up here so you can see it as well. And it plays wonderful. I mean, uh, I'm still getting used to it, but give me 6 months. So great sound. And wow, that's all I can say. The spirits love it. They're dancing, you know. them spirits be dancing all around my head makes me feel glad that I'm not dead. Hmm. And this is just beautiful. I wish y'all could feel this. I mean, as Lynn said last night when I opened this, she said that it's the softest. I mean, it's beaver is just wow. A lot of energy in this street mom. And so anyway, just wanted to share that with y'all. And as she said, it goes with the red feather from the red tail hawk. So I will be incorporating that into that. So anyway, thought I'd share that with y'all. It's cool. So thank you. You know, when someone hand makes something, I have Jenny's, I've shown you this, and that's powerful as well. I mean, the energy in here is amazing. I love it. I want some more of it. Hey, Loretta, what's up, Beef? Hello, Bonnie. Uh, am I? I love that, Loretta. Got to have a good sense of humor. Z Hunter, what's up? Regina, thank you. Um, yeah, that was good. I like that. Hey, Chloe, what's up, darling? Ryan, good to see you. Um, yeah, Lost in Space, what's up? Um, yeah, I'm right there with you as well, Mark. Knew that was going to come from this crowd, as Loretta says, all juvenile humor. Yes. You know, that's the problem with old people. They forgot to be young. They forgot. And so often you see it. I see people 10 years younger than I am that look 10 years older than I do. And they act it. They act old. And, you know, your body will, do what your mind says to do. And so, if you feel old, well, it's going to make sure that you feel old. That's why we're fucking gods. We can do that. Spirits can't. I don't know what maybe a spirit can or cannot do. They say I am one. I have a consciousness. That much I do know. The rest, you just see it how it goes. Um, Nina says, I forgot I am old. That's the point. And didn't the Jesus character say that in order to enter the gates of heaven, you have to be like that of a child? What does that mean? Hey, Gilbert, what's up? Uh, no, buddy, it's beaver. It's beautiful. Like, wow. Yeah. Look at me, right? Abbott, what's up? It's like the Twilight Zone, the old phone. Yeah, that actually was very good. Scatman Crothers played in that. That was a great scene in the movie The Twilight Zone. In the midnight special. Okay, so just gotta say thank you again, Street Mom. Mwah. And Jenny, I believe that we're manifesting your need and desire as well. That's so cool. All those who have sent even positive thoughts. If you can picture a laptop, well, send that energy present to Jenny. It works. Yeah, how we create, right? So, weirdness happening everywhere. Um, I mean, when I look at some of the antics that's taking place in DC, I'm telling you, it's excellent theater. You can't get wrapped up on one side or the other. It's like the Who said, those that are marching on the right march on the left, and the left are now marching on the right. But if you look at it as good theater, what is the Chinese? Is it Shinto theater? I mean, Shakespeare couldn't write this. Beacon himself, the play. It's like watching, oh hell, Merchant of Venice. You know, I remember that particular Shakespearean play because we actually had it in the class I was in, literature. And we actually, as a class, did the play of The Merchant in Venice. Great moral to the story, you have to admit, it really is. And if more people knew more of the classics, it would help bring in, I think, more perspectives. But in any case, just reading in the chat room again. So we got that. And then what's been released now, and give me a second, um, of this, whatever it is. I don't know. It's different. It was said to have like scales on it. It couldn't be seen with the physical eye, couldn't be seen with a camera. Apparently could only be seen in IR, infrared, had the ability to instantly change temperature because it was through an IR thermal camera. And what these cameras do, and you'll see, and I want to thank Jeremy ahead of who he was really one of the first whistleblowers on the strange crap that happened in Iraq and is still happening in there. And of course, when this kind of stuff comes out, the Pentagon doesn't even want to respond to it anymore. It's like, yeah, well, hey, listen. And whether it's this new, whatever it is, it said that, and we'll see the picture, it was over a U.S. military base, sensitive intel, um, had no one could see it. Their instruments, their radars couldn't see it. And it was these cats that actually have these cameras that are really uh, really advanced. And what they're designed to do is to take the enemy out. And they said that what happened with the cameras is that they couldn't lock, at least not for the, for a weapon, number one, but to get a better reading on it as well. They said it went into the water, stayed in the water for 17 minutes, and then exited the water at a 45-degree angle. We ain't got anything to do that shit. So let me get this pulled up for us so we can all look at it. I'd like to get your comments on it. So here we are. So this is from NDTV, and let's start playing it. So here it is. And thank you, Jeremy Corbell. So he's giving comments on this, and this is a strange. I mean, I got the feeling of almost like a Star Wars drone, like the Revenge of the Sith, is that we're now seeing technology that humans can't see on the ground. Our instruments can't pick it up. It changes from hot to cold. We don't have anything to do that. And as it said, it wasn't apparently. It's like, hey y'all, how y'all doing down there? Oh, you can't see us. That's right. So, is this a foreign country? Have they gotten the Chinese? Do they have advanced technology? I don't think so. And again, I'll leave the link in here in the description section, but it is one of the strangest, and you can just see how it's changing in the heat cold. I mean, instantaneously. It's like, how does that work? So it's going over, places where if it was a drone, it had been taken down. It looks to me to be I don't know. It's almost like a machine that's gathering intel. That's the feeling I get on this thing. And if we can't see it, then how do you defend against it? And apparently only this type of a camera could actually do it. So anyway, and again, as it went into the water, we just don't have anything that can do that. So there we go. Check it out. You tell me. I don't know. You got this 18-foot translucent being down in Miami. You've got the, you know, guess they're saying 15, 18-foot aliens that landed in the backyard in Las Vegas. The cops saw it. The thing in California, the thing in Texas. I mean, no. Are they the scouts? Maybe we ought to tell them that, hey, this is planet hell. Then I thought to myself, well, wait a minute. What if this isn't from out there, but in here, down in here? I don't know. So Harvard scientist said today, um, I don't know which journal it was, says that, well, it was impossible for bio beings, us, biomaterial, to travel in space. And I thought, well, that's pretty arrogant. A human saying, ain't possible. How do you know? We can't leave this earth. Doesn't mean that all life, organic or not, is under the same rules, same laws. And we're talking about hell. We've located hell. It's here. Um, it's just what it is. And you have to be honest. Our perception of hell is a spell. Now, I don't know what mushrooms that Dante was eating when he had this dream. I mean, artisans are eccentric anyway. Intelligent individuals are most often the most eccentric in personality. And I thought to myself, well, it's a pretty groovy thing. Listen, if that's where that dude's head's at, all right, far out. I mean, it's your trip, baby, ain't mine. But, the powers to be got a hold of it. And they said, you know what? We've been looking for a way that can scare the crap out of these people, make them pay us a tax and be happy that they're paying us the tax, and they'll obey us because we'll project this as reality. Because what it's saying, the powers to be, is to saying, yes, there is life after this life. But if you don't play our game, sing our song, and dance to our beat, well, we're going to throw your sorry ass in a place that, fire, hot. It's like the Eskimo said to the Baptist missionary. Says, so let me get this right. If I had not never heard of your God, then I could have never been punished. Well, that's true. And the Eskimo looked over and said, so why did you tell me? And their perception was that which shocked the Baptist missionary, was that there's a place where there's constant fire. Sign us up. Anything's better than cold. And isn't it odd that those who are in the paranormal research, supernatural, the one thing that seems to be a commonality, and I don't know if it's certain spirits, if it's all spirits, but apparently it's very cold in the ethereal realm. Very, very, very cold. And I think that that's odd because it implies then that somehow a spirit has a tactile ability to perceive energy, hot or cold. But if we are energy, then we would in fact generate, you would think, in the spirit realm, heat. We do our bodies, we know that. But yet, a very sure sign that there is what we would call an intelligence being, spirit, disincarnated spirit from the body, that they suck up energy. And I can tell you, I've experienced this. They'll drain batteries just like that. And then humans have the same response that has this thing that you become very cold very quickly. No, weird, isn't it? Mark says, I see the Matrix all the time. Eyes open or closed. I still see the dots in the Matrix. Ain't that the truth? Uh, so I want to look at one book. I do have these in, this is in PDF. This is interesting. It's this book right here. It's called Inventing Hell. Let me see how to get, there we go. And we're not going to get into all of it. It's not a long read. It really isn't. But it says, John Sweeney succeeds in giving historical and literary backup to what many of us have concluded theologically. If God is present as one who actually tortures those who do not like him, we have a God who does not practice what he preaches. Without such honest scholarship as we have here, I'm afraid that we will continue to drive people away from the beauty and the hope and the mysticism of Judeo-Christian revelation. Now, I thought that was interesting, the words of that, because the mysticism. That's a problem, as when I was in Christianity as an ordained minister, is that they're dead. So I told many a minister, I said, you're dead. You get up there and you make these sermons and what have you, but they're dead because you've taken the supernatural away from God. If such a God exists, it's not a human. It certainly can't have a human personality. It would be flawed. And it's great to have a human personality. It's a groovy thing, if you know what I mean. It really is. But I don't want a God to be as contrite, as contrary, as, volatile as humans are. And the mysticism. I mean, if God is, then this dude or dudette would be a powerful magician. I mean, Merlin would only be, a neophyte. What does that make the rest of us? Figure it out. So anyway, this is a great book, because when you read a book like this, John brings in enough references to validate that we all have been, and I'll just put it in my terms, we all been fucking conned. Because it puts servience. You see, I always found it odd that particularly in Isaiah 1:14, it says, God prefers obedience to sacrifice. But obedience is yet surrender, servitude. And again, we have been, so abused as a species, because we actually believe that this is, and and to be quite frank with you, the Bible really, Old Testament doesn't have anything really written about hell. And check with any Jewish person who practiced Judaism, it's a place where you go to sleep. Their inheritance, and that's how they look at it, and not a promise, it's an inheritance, is the earth. They're not promised to be resurrected in the spirit world. Most people don't realize that. No, they believe that they will reign here on earth. A new earth, albeit, but that's what they believe is their inheritance. And when you study about hell, I like this. It says, as Hades was to the ancient Greeks, and Guyana to the first century residents of Jerusalem, hell was a real place and a proper noun to medieval Christians, Dante among them. For that reason, the word, which is usually lowercased in the 21st century, appears throughout, inventing hell with a capital H until the final pages. And in each and every one of these, there is no evidence. Well, actually, you could argue on either side. There's no evidence that it exists other than in what we've been told. I had this conversation again with somebody, and they were telling me that, they believe in God, and, you know, and I just simply asked one question, which God? And of course, the standard reply, I know what the standard reply is. Well, there's only one God. I said, says who? Who taught you that? Who told you that? And where did they learn that from? And then, of course, they'll show you all the ancient writings and all that. Well, that's fine and good, but that ain't doing me shit in this time and era. It's like, great, it's good mind candy, but, ain't doing me any good here now. I know that's personal commentary. So, but we all believe that this place exists and that it has ruled us, it scares us, it keeps us up. If things don't go our way, then it has to be, those who came from hell to torment you. I mean, the whole paradigm sucks because then you get into it. I'm not going to get in all to this because I want to get into the other book that we had where hell is actually located. I love that book. And we're going to get what we can into it. Yes, I hit that. Did you see that? There it is. Da 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 da. So, do you believe in hell? That's a real question. Do you believe in this place of fire, brimstone, lake of fire shit that you apparently reanimate into a body, and that the body, you can feel it as the flesh is burning and you're screaming in torment in pain until it gets down and it burns to the muscle and you're watching your muscles burn and you're feeling that at the same time? I don't know about you, but I think that would drive a spirit insane. And I do believe that there are insane spirits. I'm convinced of it. And they're not of a normal mindset. But Bonnie says, hell no, I don't believe in hell. There we go. That's what I like about it. Troy says, I like my perch in purgatory. Yeah. So, it's, I think it's a majority in here would say no. I gotta tell you, it ruled my life. I mean, the fear factor. It's like, oh shit. People when they're suddenly dying, like in airplane crashes, and they get those last messages out and they know they're going to die. And they know it's going to hurt. They know that for the briefest of seconds, if they're in a jet and a plane going down, you're going to be hitting the ground at over 500 miles an hour. And so what happens to the spirit? If you ask me, that is hell. That's a hell of a way of going out of this realm, isn't it? Murder, human sacrifice. I mean, how is this not hell? And if that's what's required to get into what is perceived to be heaven, not so sure I really want to be a part of that. I was. I mean, I actually believe that the Roman government murdered this rabbi, and his own people turned on him, and this was the propitiation for the blood, his sacrifice. And I was convinced that that was how to keep me from hell. I had to hitch my horses up to this wagon of death, this murder. That's what it is. And I was so blinded by the fact of the fear of hell, going to hell, violating or pissing off this God, that I'd probably done anything at one point in my life that I was told that this God commanded people to do. And then you hear today, I always like it when a politician says, well, I just had the call of God on my life. God moved me to do this. How do you do that? And of course, the natural response is, well, it's in my thinking. Exactly. So what you're saying then is that you've learned how to channel spirits. That's the only way you can have a God speak to you. You got to be channeling, or you're an expert in telepathy, one of the two. But back to the subject, and you think, let me just say this. When I look at the chaos in the American political landscape, here's what I found out when I was really into politics. I mean, folks, I was a member of I won't get into that. But do you think they really believe in hell? I mean, you have a government that enslaves its people through debt, manipulation, a government that promotes propaganda. Yeah, did you know that? That was from Obama. Yeah. Him and Nancy, that was a little present to the American people. You see, it was against the law after World War II for the government to get engaged in propaganda. Our grandparents knew. They saw what happened with Germany, with Japan. They saw it. But then Barack came and said, oh, man, those people are so dumb. They'll believe anything we tell them. And that was really the beginning of the information wars. Yeah, a little tidbit for everybody out there. Mark, how you doing? So since meeting Wayne 7 years ago, favor be to you. I have that belief that I am in control, not God. I choose to be in a good mood. I choose to be in a bad. Bingo. Bingo. And don't we like sometimes being in bad moods? I mean, the reason why most people like getting sick is because you get sympathy from people. Oh man, I feel so bad. Well, and it invokes an empathetic response. But some people take that to the extreme. That's a God. Just like grieving. Grieving can be as addictive to the human psyche as any drug. I love these conversations because it's like, oh man. So, shall we continue? By the way, it's going to get really cold. Did I tell you that next week? Hey, Jackie, look what's behind me. I found the spot. Doesn't that look good? You see that work that Jackie J did on that? New Yoda says the main problem with telepathy is lack of privacy. I watched a series where everyone is connected. You have to be. If you're not. So this is the future. And you no longer have a cell phone, you no longer have a computer, you don't need them. And everyone's connected. And the way that it works is that you can't override a person's conscious thoughts. In other words, you have to have permission from them. Very interesting thing. And it was really I love the writing on it. Whoever did the writing did a good job in how they portrayed this and how the elite, tried to circumvent that. But it's all about information. And isn't that what God's all about? Isn't what God's all about is information gathering? We got someone supposedly writing everything we're doing, this Akashic record. And, when I think about this, why would there need to be a record? unless someone is gathering intel. It's my position that you have the God of the Bible who was really no God at all. He thought he was. Turns out he was a pretty petulant individual. And he violated a rule and he created what we call light. And from the realm of where things all, in the essence, there is no beginning. It's just essence of, apparently there wasn't a light in the way that we see it. But we still don't perceive what that light is. The sun didn't come into the story to way down the road. So there is this light that this thing created that you really didn't know. So it said it was good. Well, maybe not. But really, when I look at it, because, if you believe that there's a hell, then someone's keeping a list of all of your sins. Now, if you want to believe and you have the shed blood, I mean, that's just bloody awful. Then, it'll cover your sins. Doesn't do away with it, does it? Just covers them, right? And so anyway, then and if you apparently don't have the golden ticket, the Willy Wonka ticket, then you have the farrier who comes and the ferryman takes you to this place called hell. And I don't know about you, but I have seen a lot of suffering in my life. And I didn't see any God come to the rescue in any of that. So it has to tell me there's another script running here. Just me. um, don't know. Love this group. He's making a list and checking it twice. You see, and we buy into that. Santa Claus is not this jolly Saint Nick. No freaking way. If there's a Satan, there you go, buddy. Hitch it up. Come on. And I'm sure it's a fun how do you do. So let's get back into this book and we'll just kind of take what time we got in here because it's still funny. Now, funny is wrong. It's informative. I like the opinion expressed, and that's what authors and writers are supposed to do. So we know the story, right? God created man, placed him in the garden. And listen, I like working in the garden, but there was a time in my life when I worked in a garden from sunrise to sunset in the hot Gulf Coast area. Kind of took the joy out of it, you know what I mean? But anyway, so God created much animal and plant life for the garden. And, the thing I'm still trying to figure out is how did the plant life grow without the sun? How did photosynthesis take place anyway? So God gave the first two people he created, Adam and Eve, everything they could possibly want. And God gave Adam and Eve free choice to serve him or to reject him. And we discussed last time, that ain't free will. If there's something that really is free will doesn't come with a consequence. It comes with a choice and a decision. Now, you could say, well, then, Wayne, there is going to be a consequence to that decision. No, because if I have two choices and one has no consequence at all and one does, that's not a free choice. It's being set up. So anyway, Satan found out about this. And he wanted man to sin. I could get so much into that. Because I guess maybe Satan here could be James Dean. He wanted a man to rebel against God as he did. Well, we have to step that back and say, then, why did he rebel in the first place? I thought that was perfection. How does the perfect reject the perfect for the imperfect? How would the perfect know of the imperfect? It's a silly little question. Anyway, so in the form of a snake, approaches Eve and tells her that the tree that God had declared off limits, yada, yada, is the good tree. And again, we ask, why doesn't God need a tree of life? And at first, Eve refused to listen to Satan. Now, the capital S, that's Satan, that it never existed until way down the line, but later tried the fruit anyway. Okay. Eve also talked to Adam into eating the apple. Let me tell you the truth here. If you want to follow the dialogue, actually, Adam was no, he wasn't far off. He was standing right there. He witnessed the whole thing. Anyway, says now they had sinned against the word of God. Well, that's odd. So that's the word. God knew this had happened. Well, if he knew everything, that's the thing that gets me about omnipresence, omnipotent. It's like, wait a minute. If you knew that this was the way it was going to be, why would you do it? I don't know. So it says he came to the garden in a rage. Wait a minute. God is in a rage? It's true. It does say in the book of Genesis, and he repented to himself. Okay, we need the psychiatrist here to analyze that one. Anyway, so he came to the garden. He was pissed off as continued punishment. So he throws him out. Now he's in, and now this is vindictiveness. As continued punishment, he gave to the woman terrible pains during childbirth. As punishment to man, he said that man must work all the days of his life. And here we have it today. You get into the age of where society says, well, you're supposed to retire. It's because they've drained you. They've sucked all your energy out into their machine, and now you're thrown to the side and you're expected to die. Messed up, ain't it? It says, because of Adam and Eve's sin, known as the original sin. I could really sing a song on that one. I could see it. All of humanity was condemned. Now that's messed up. I don't care what you say God is or God is not. That's messed up. And if this is what this being thinks, I don't want any part of him. Whatever the hell it is. I am of a majority of people who want to kick its ass. We want to extract a little bit of our vengeance. Oh, come on. He's got it coming. I mean, fair is fair. Do unto others, right? Well, we've certainly taken it in the back end long enough. And in his continued rage, I mean, apparently this thing is like freaking just continuing on. He said, God promised to punish all future humans by sending them to the lake of fire, hell, after death, even if they had been good all of their lives. Mankind was powerless to do anything but accept its terrible fate. There was a time where I justified the actions of this demiurge. Thousands of years later, God decided to take pity on his human creation. Well, that magnanimous son of a bitch. He sent his only son, Jesus. Now, I have a fundamental question here. Why couldn't he have sent the daughter? Oh, that's right. She don't exist. Okay, moving on. To give man a second chance to get into heaven. I have to just tell you, I like, wagering a bet here and there. But if I were to look at those odds, I'm going to turn around and walk away. Nah, no way in hell I want to get into heaven. At least not with this dude running the operation. And so God impregnated Jesus's mother, Mary, in a manner which kept her virginity intact. Well, it's still being impregnated. I mean, why couldn't he just go and make another golem? You know? And so this is actually now affirms that, we're a hybrid species. Hmm. And then God said that the blood of Jesus shed on the cross would be enough for mankind to atone for its sins and thus be allowed in heaven, after which individual souls would regain their original sinless status. Here's the reasoning of today's lecture. So, if I was to break that down, how could a species, a spirit, a soul, be born into sin? And yet they're telling me that there was an original sinless state of that individual. What's going on here? I mean, it's like everything else today in government, society, religion, everything is bifurcated. Everything. Right? That's some weird stuff. And so that tells me if it's happening in the physical realm, then it's damn sure happening in the ethereal realm. As above, so below, as above. Because if we're representation and we're sending this back out, I mean that the spirit realm has got to be one mess up place. What does God need a starship for? Anyway, so God said for his people to take advantage of this unusual and special Kmart sale, because this is the only time he was going to be the outpouring of love by their creator. They must personally request it by accepting the son, not the daughter, and his teachings. The problem is you cannot authenticate one word this dude said. There is no authentic record. None. But I was taught that there were people that could write out, some cases 90 years later, a conversation verbatim. But then, how did the so-called ignorant fishermen learn to become so proficient in Greek? Not only proficient in Greek, but he could write it, he could read it, and how did that happen? Anyway, I'm going off here. So this includes God's asking you have to ask God to forgive you of your sins, and apparently your ancestors' sins as well. I mean, apparently it's Adam and Eve's fault. You know. And any sins their direct ancestors made for at least 3 or 4 generations. That's a lot of knee time, man. I mean, whoa. You know the interesting thing about when you're on your knees and you have another person who's standing upright in front of you? Think about that. After individuals do that, God will pardon them, just like Obama, you know, Trump, you know. God will pardon them, thus making it possible for the converted to go to heaven after death and stay for eternity. Now, the problem with that is that eternity is finite. So what happens after the first eternity ends? What, you get evicted? It says those who reject the Son of God as their Savior, then they're the ones, by the way, that's anyone who doesn't believe what they believe. That's the vast majority of the world. But anyway, those who belong to most other religions and talk about racism. What the hell? What's the problem with Christianity? It's so goddamn elitist. You know? Well, we don't believe in that God. Oh, you don't? So if you reject this free gift, then you're going to hell. He goes in the writer says, deserving special attention is paragraph 7, in which God in his fury sent almost everybody to hell from the time of Adam and Eve to the time of Jesus's ministry. Thus, if you use the biblical time frame to determine the number of years mankind has existed, around 6,000, all humans went to hell, no matter what, for around 4,000 years. This includes all the ancient Greeks, all the ancient Egyptians, etc. Of course, you can't go to heaven through any other religion besides Judaism, depending on what part of the world and what century you're living in. Only hell. The third of the four classical Christian spiritual laws states that taking Jesus as your Lord and Savior is the only way to heaven. No ifs and buts about it. This is a doctrine which remains very strong today. Since so many billions of people in the history of mankind haven't been saved or have worshipped in other religions, they have been condemned according to literal Christian scripture to hell. Hell should have billions of souls in it by now, at least. I just imagine, as a writer, I like writing. I could write a vignette and a scene. The first soul going into hell. Hello? Anybody here? Damn. Big place. Anybody here? It's empty. No, 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 no. Wait a minute. I think I see something. I mean, and then is he not going to get pissed off, as billions start coming in? I mean, he had the whole place to himself. I guess technically that would have been paradise, right? So if we follow the story, now I was told in Bible school that, you see, Jesus went down into hell for 3 days. That's a goddamn lie. But anyway, so he could free the trapped souls. Got all sorts of problems with that theologically. But anyway, that was the thing. And you know where they get this from? They actually get this from, who was it? Oh, yeah, it was in the book of Mark when John, the beggar, went to heaven and the rich man did not. The beggar went to heaven, the rich man went to hell. And so the beggar comes down, sees the rich man in hell, and the rich guy is saying, well, if you could just, put just a drop of water on this is where it all starts. And you think about how messed up that is. So you got this soul, and it's not spirits. They're not talking spirits in there. Everything in here is the soul. Still makes me think, well, then there's this division. These are arguments as to why hell is literally on planet Earth. Religious doctrines deny that Earth is the location of hell, and religious authorities have the final word on the subject. Let me just tell you about these religious authorities. They're a bunch of pompous ass who's got their head so far up their ass that their gray matter is turned now to fecal matter. And that's how it's been for thousands of years. So when you're reading these so-called holy books, remember it's the fecal matter of the individual who is writing the words. But I digress. So such long times established religious doctrines simply couldn't be wrong, could they? So many people for 1,500 or more years have believed it to be correct for such a long time. How could so many people be wrong? Well, because most of these were pedophiles. They were messed up individuals. We know. We have their whole biographies. They were messed up people, man. And yet, this is the best God could do to represent himself? Well, the facts is that many well-established, long-time, well-regarded religious doctrines have ultimately been determined to be wrong. Of course, we all know about Galileo, Copernicus, and other great minds fighting the church doctrines when they and others dared to assert that the earth wasn't the center of the universe. Hey, Nina. Something for your show on Sunday. Let's discuss other examples of formally established doctrines that have since been repudiated by so many. These doctrines are defined by the following and sometimes other biblical passages. The below biblical passages have been taken from the New American Bible, copyrighted 1970 by the Confraternity of Christian Doctrines, Washington, D.C. Witches. You shall not let a sorceress live. Exodus 22:17. You see, they feared us back then. It says, a man or woman who acts as a medium or fortune teller shall be put to death by stoning. They have no one but themselves to blame for their deaths. Now, the book of Leviticus, if it was read today, most likely would probably get it removed by YouTube, even though it would be perceived to be considered under the protection of the First Amendment. But some of the things in Leviticus, they don't jive with today's culture. Fashion and cross-dressing. A woman shall not wear an article proper to a man, nor shall a man put on a woman's dress. For anyone who does such things is an abomination to the Lord your God. Deuteronomy 22:5. Now I'm going to go over a little bit, feeling rather, feisty on this one. This one is just all, didn't they wear robes back then? I mean, wasn't virtually that the same attire? All right, so cross-dressers, boom, baby, you're out of here. This God of the Bible, of Jesus, he don't like you. And then what gets me is that if he put this down, how can he be writing the other crap? I'm just saying. Keeping females captive of battle. Sex trade. Hello, Epstein. But anyway, Moses became angry with the officers of the army who were returning from combat. So you have spared all the women, he exclaimed. Slay, therefore, every male child and every woman who has had intercourse with a man. But you may spare and keep for yourselves all girls who had no intercourse with a man. I mean, come on. I've known this for decades. And the thing about it is, there was a time when I read that and I went, yeah, you see, this is the God I serve. Yeah. You wear it like some banty rooster at your ass. So if a conquering warrior saw a captive female he liked, the Bible tells us what needs to be done for him to take her as his wife. Well, most time was not a wife. A concubine, yes. When you go out to war against your enemies and the Lord, your God, delivers them into your hand so that you take captives, if you see a comely woman among the captives and become so enamored for her that you wish to have her as her wife, you may take her home to your house. It's so messed up. I mean, wow. But before she may live there, she must shave her head and cut her nails and lay aside her captive garb. After she has mourned her father and mother for a full month, meaning that they killed them, you may have relations with her, and you shall be her husband, and she shall be your wife. Homosexuality. If a man lies and has sex with a male as with a woman, both of them shall be put to death for their abominable deed. They have forfeited their lives. Leviticus 20:10. Adultery. If a man commits adultery with his neighbor's wife, both the adulterer and adulteress shall be put to death. A lot of dying here. You have heard the commandment, you shall not commit adultery. What I say to you is, anyone who looks lustfully at a woman has already committed adultery with her in his thoughts. Boy, you want to talk about backing the whole metaphysical? You speak it, it becomes your thoughts are the power of God Himself. Baby, right there. And this swings both ways, ladies. Uh-huh. If your right eye is your trouble, gouge it out and throw it away. Better to lose part of your body than to have it all cast into Gehenna, hell. Man, that's Matthew 5:27, by the way. Concerning divorce and adultery, what I say to you is everyone who divorces his wife, lewd conduct is a separate case, forces her to commit adultery. The man who marries a divorced woman likewise commits adultery. I mean, now, so now if you're a divorce or divorcee, a divorce, you now you're ostracized. But they still got you screwed. Divorcees marrying each other. He told them, whoever divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery against her, and the woman who divorces her husband and marries another commits adultery. When someone talks to me about Jesus, I always like to bring up these and say, explain this, please. Well, we don't like that. Being a priest's daughter and having premarital sex. A priest's daughter who loses her honor, her virginity, by committing fornication and thereby dishonors her father also shall be burned to death. Leviticus 21:9. Woof! Restrictions on, is this not hell? Restrictions on, think about the victims on this side. It's a living hell for them all the way up until the time they were murdered. But of the various creatures that foul or swim in the water, whether in the sea or in the rivers, all those that lack either fins or scales are loathsome to you, and you shall treat them as loathsome. Their flesh you shall not eat, their dead bodies you shall loathe. This makes eating lobster, shrimp, crab, mussel, scallop, oysters, clams, squids a crime against God. Hmm. I mean, if this is the laws, how is heaven going to be? I mean, come on. As above, so below. I mean, I read this now and I'm going, wait, I better read this contract. Marriage to unbelievers, other races, and religions. We have indeed betrayed our God by taking as wives foreign women of the people of the land. Let us therefore enter a covenant before our God to dismiss all our foreign wives and children born from them, in keeping with what you, my Lord, small l, by the way, advise, and those who fear the commandments of God. Ezra 10. Must it also be heard that you have done this same very great evil, betraying our God by marrying foreign women? Nehemiah. I mean, how is this not hell? So who's the God of hell? Clothing. You shall not wear cloth of two different kinds of thread, wool and linen, woven together. This would also make it a sin to wear clothing made of both, say, cotton and polyester. Genetic engineering. Keep my statutes. Do not breed any of your domestic animals with others of a different species. Do not sow a field of yours with two different kinds of seed, and do not put on a garment woven with two different kinds of thread. And then we get into the hair thing. I mean, anyway, we'll continue on with this. Hell is not part of creation in the book of Genesis. We'll pick this up tomorrow. But, you know, I make a lot of fun and sport of my former religion because it deserves it. I mean, I just don't see how humans rationalize this. And the thing about it is, once you get into the occult, start studying the esoteric word, you get into all those books, you begin to realize that it makes sense we're in the mess we're in right now. It does. We don't know which end is up. I don't know which end is down either. Hell, it's a physical place right here on earth, created by us, decorated by us, managed by us. Yeah. Hey, Grace, we're doomed. Ah, I love it, CJ. Hey, brother, how you doing? It's got to be early in your part of the world. Lucky we found the dirty books. Well, I'd like the Playboys, but I only read the articles. Never looked at the pictures. Case Raw, how you doing, dear? Austin Space. Oh, come on. Hey, Brian, you're one hell of a great video. There we go. Hell yeah. Lady Ellie, good to see you. Michelle, good to see you as well. Anyway, I mean, come on, folks. And it's got tentacles. I mean, it really does. My wife, I watch sometimes I like good, interesting stories that are creative in it. And some of them are about the paranormal and supernatural. And we got it to now where we can watch these movies and we laugh. What is supposed to be the real scary thing. You got to think, well, this is what a human's doing, in the afterlife. They've got to be fucking bored out of their minds. I mean, they come back and go, half-eaten flesh and yada yada. You're going, really? So this is what their eternity is going to be, huh? What happens if the planet blows up or ceases to exist, which it will at some point in time? Our sun is going to consume it. So then what happens? Is the game out? Game over? Lights out? Come on. That's all I got to say. Morningstar says, sometimes I have to tell people that heaven, hell, and paradise are here on earth. Life is what you create around you. Bingo. Spot on. I love it. So, all right, folks. Hey, Claudette. Good to see you. Um, Gilbert, right back at you. So, anyway, folks, I mean, in the end, it's really what your choice is. I think I like the Don Knotts prime, Officer Barney Fife. Laugh. Laugh like your life depends on it. It does. Your spirit, your soul. If you can learn to laugh in the front of fear, I mean, I once told someone who actually had a gun to me, and I said, do you really think it bothers me? Really? I said, if you're that, etc. It was an attempted robbery, but, anyway, the young man didn't do it. He thought differently. It's true. It's the kind of influence you can put over a spirit like that. Is it a spirit or is it this person's energy emanation? And when they don't see fear, then they become afraid. Anyway, Robert V, what's up? Good to see you, my friend. All right. So off we go. See y'all tomorrow. Have a great day. Get ready, folks here in North America, particularly in Canada and y'all up in Canada are used to that, but down here in the lower 48, it's going to get cold next week. So just start preparing, make sure the pipes are covered, and et cetera, and et cetera. All right, folks, until we meet again, smile. Thank you for being a light into my life. You make my life very worthwhile, and it's a joy. It's a present. What can I say? So, Stephen, good to see you. As I say, until we meet again. Isn't that what the cowboy says? Happy trails to